Well, hello there, beautiful. It's Kylie Patchett here. Welcome to the Wild and Finally Pecking Free podcast. I deeply believe that the years during and beyond perimenopause are a rite of passage. All of a sudden, we find ourselves on the precipice of a life transition where our brain literally rewires and runs out of fucks to give. We find ourselves shifting identity, no longer caring what other people think, and being invited to expand into new ways of being. Here, we share the real and raw stories from women who've been through deep midlife metamorphosis, taken a leap of faith, or broken the ties that bind us in patterns of staying small, stuck, and like our needs just don't matter. This is the midlife medicine you didn't even know you needed. Stories full of joy, despair, freedom, courage, and deep self-honoring. I am so glad you found us. Welcome. Hello, everybody. I'm always going to start these interviews with my soul wagging a tail moment, because I get to reconnect with all these beautiful women that I have known for years and years. So welcome, Catherine Joy. I am so excited to have you here.
Thanks. Happy to be here too.
I was just reflecting on, we've known each other for quite some time. And yes, when I was reading, because this is your answer, I always ask people in, the little questionnaire when you register your time on the podcast, what called you to share and what sort of ties that bind have you broken? And I love this. You said choosing to separate and divorce meant choosing myself and a new way forwards. And then this is the key. I was like, oh, this is going to be a great interview. Huge shifts in spirituality, sexuality, beliefs about myself as a woman. Where do we start? Where would you like to begin?
I don't even know where to begin. I think it's probably worth starting with like when I met you and when I sort of engaged in one of your programs. Yes. And yes, I know you're hesitant to plug, but it was an amazing program and it did make a big difference to me. I was really afraid of taking risks and stepping outside the identity that I had. So I don't know, it just kind of opened a whole lot of doors for me, and I did take some risks, and I did realize that, the world wasn't going to end if I committed some kind of sin, because obviously I was raised in the church. And it sort of snowballed from there. And I think the sort of permission to ask questions meant permission to ask more questions, which meant just like completely sort of refining my thoughts on faith and on relationships and how those should operate as well. And just lots and lots of things, but a lot changed as a result.
I feel like it was like when we first had our first conversation, you were on the cusp of you were being called to redesign some things. You knew that things weren't kind of, where you wanted them to be. But in the process of the next few years, I've just watched you like take your life, throw it up in the air and let it rearrange itself. Apart from obviously the big fundamentals, which is you're a mum of 4 beautiful children, which are, very, very obviously one of your biggest, values, anchors, highlights in life. Let's start with, I said to you before, how do you feel about you on that cusp of change? And what did you say? Because I think that's a really great place to.
Okay. Yeah. So I just said, I just feel really sorry for past me. I just really sorry for that person who was so afraid that if I put a foot wrong, that I would ruin my entire life and just lose myself completely. And like I used to have this image of myself falling into an abyss, like just sort of spiraling completely out of control if I let any of that control go. I feel sorry. I feel sorry for that person that I was so afraid, because there just really wasn't anything to be that afraid of.
And the beauty of that, and, to me, what I'm hearing is, I was kind of given a set of rules.
Yes.
Maybe by the church, maybe family, maybe wherever. Like, we all grow up in, we all grow up in, I like to call it a snow globe now. We're all in our different snow globe, and the snow falling around may or may not be helpful, but that's okay. But, it's the environment we grow up in. We form these beliefs, and when you chose to question one of them,
yes,
it was then this like domino effect of like, well, if that doesn't feel true for me,
yes,
then what else doesn't? How else
yes.
do I want to, what do I want to look at?
And some of it was like lies, I think, too. Like, I'd been warned about things, good Christians stay away from this and they stay away from that. And I started to meet people who were moving in different circles and having different experiences, and just realizing that some of the things that I'd been taught just weren't true. And I don't think they were like intentional lessons that I was given. I think the people that were passing those lessons on were just as afraid of those things as I was. They didn't actually know any truth about lots of things either, but that was like, oh, this is the way it is. This is what you're afraid of. Don't dabble in this. Don't test the boundaries there, because it's a slippery slope, and you'll, the end result of the slippery slope is hell, and no one wants to go there. So yeah, it was like, well, actually these people believe this, and that's actually not that far from what I believe anyway. So what else isn't quite gelling and what else doesn't quite fit? Yeah.
Amazing. Hey, because my big beliefs about what we can create for ourselves is that we get to decide what the rules of our life are, and that is a really, really big responsibility, and it's also a really, really big freedom.
It's terrifying.
Terrifying, absolutely terrifying.
Yes.
And particularly when you've been brought up like I wasn't brought up in a church, but I definitely was brought up with a particular filter of what a good girl was. I'm going to air quote the good girl, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So what stories did you, and let's not make anyone around you wrong, because that's not what we're about. What stories did you learn in, make meaning of about what was a good girl? Like what, take us back to Catherine of her 20s. And how early did you get married? You were quite young, weren't you?
I was 21. So 21, I turned 21 in April and was married by July. So really, really very young. And it's certainly not what I want for my children. And I had an overconfidence, like an arrogance, I think, that kind of went with, the faith that I was raised in. And I felt so confident getting married. I was so sure it would work, and that, that certain things that happened to other people would never happen to me. But the whole good girl thing, like, I cannot remember a time in my childhood where I wasn't really, really conscious of having to be a good girl all the time. Whether it was to keep my parents happy or Jesus happy, that there was, it felt like there were long lists of right and wrong. And when I reflect on it and think, well, some of the things weren't concrete, so they were messages that were obviously sort of contained within myself as well. But good girls don't do that. Like, had really strong opinions on expressing my own anger and that kind of thing. Like, that felt really wrong to me. So that was one part of it. So complying and doing what I was told, and I think, I was a little feminist underneath, but still, really felt like it was the right thing to submit to my husband and to do all I could to keep him happy and to please him and to support his career and his dreams and aspirations, which I really, there was a part of me that resented it, but a lot of me that just thought it was the right thing to do. So, the good girl and following sort of a few scripts, I guess, it was very much a part of my entire life. Maybe in part, like, my dad had PTSD, so he had to sort of be really well behaved and careful around him, because he did have some sort of, he could have angry outbursts. And I avoided those mostly. I remember seeing my dad angry at my brother more often than me, but I was very careful. So I didn't want to upset my mum. I didn't want to upset my dad, and and God by extension of them. So,
yes, exactly.
Yeah. So avoiding anger and not expressing anger, it was a lot to do with being a good girl.
I just think that is such a prolific message that is still given to women. Actually, what? Not just women, because I think that that's actually given to everybody.
Yes. Yeah.
But there's kind of acceptable again, air quoting, ways of men getting their anger out. But those ways are not still like both my daughters have played rugby league, and that to me, that petrifies me. Like if I had to physically play, because I don't have that body confidence. Like I've always felt very unsure. Like the rest of my family, when we go on skiing holidays, they are like on the triple diamond. They never skied before. They're going down the triple because Shane, my husband's always been like that. And so the girls have learnt to do that. But I grew up in a house where neither of my parents were very courageous physically. So
No.
And so when I see my daughters, on a rugby league field, and they're like both pretty mild-mannered, well, not one of them, but anyway, generally pretty, chilled, emotionally regulated kids, but then they get this mongrel out on the rugby league field, and I look at them and I go, I don't think I've got that in me, because I've never had that filter of myself.
Yeah, and I imagine actually even releasing the mongrel even now. Like, no, I mean, if someone threatens my kids or someone treats really, really unfairly, maybe I might get a bit vocal, but it's, not much mongrel.
Yeah, I get the mongrel out. I do. I'm just thinking, hang on a minute, Kylie. I love to box. That's when I get my mongrel out, and I love to box really hard. I love boxing. Anyway, we've digressed. Where I was going with that is that I think there is lots of socially acceptable ways where boys can channel anger through the more physical sports, through the, whatever.
Yes.
But it's still like my kids still get like, oh, really? You play rugby league? And it's like, yeah, just because I have a uterus doesn't mean I don't get to run and, stretch my body in physical ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the other thing that I'm hearing too is it is absolutely no surprise that when your marriage broke down and you made that choice, and then that therefore put every one of those beliefs, particularly around church and stability of marriage, and that it's unbreakable and you're never going to, whatever.
Yeah.
That put that under the spotlight. And so you're in this position where I'm discombobulated because one of the rules I've been given hasn't proven to be true in my life. But also, as a good girl, by definition, you've been trained, or you've trained yourself to be hypervigilant to other people's needs and respond to them.
Yes.
So of course you didn't know how to bloody tap into yours. Like that.
No, that's true.
It's diabolically impossible for us to learn. No, not to learn, sorry, but to naturally be able to tap into what's in our heart and what we really want. When we've been taught all that good girl people pleasing, right and wrong.
Yeah. I mean, it was just such a natural thing for me to do, was like, well, and like, oh, look, I mean, he honestly justified a lot of what he was doing in his work and in his life as being a spiritual calling, which meant because he felt this strong calling from God, it was my job to be support. Yes. And that somehow what he had to offer the world was worth more than anything I had to offer the world. So, I sort of filled that space for a while. And, towards the end of the marriage, I started doing a master's degree, and like I was, quite successful as a student. I did really, really well. Yes. But everything was still secondary, and my achievements weren't celebrated, and his things weren't going terribly well. So, it was just a really interesting little contrast, I think, because I look back on it now and just go, like, how on earth did I get into this position where I became really unimportant and my achievements were so not valued, while in the meantime I'm sort of trying to prop everything up at home so he can run this business that's failing terribly. It's just it was just ridiculous. It was ridiculous.
When you ask that question now, looking back, how did you get here? How did you get there? Like, were there? Yes. Did you have little pings of awareness of like, this is not feeling right, or
okay. Yeah, there's a couple of key moments, I guess. So like the first is probably a little, like, it's actually embarrassing to admit, but when I first got married, I wanted to have children quite quickly. So I was really, really quite young. And I'd come across families who like sort of homeschooling families and let God decide the size of your family and all of that kind of thing. And like I really was prepared to sort of embrace that kind of Christian wifey role.
Yes.
But that didn't go to plan. So I had 7 years of infertility, and that sort of started a lot of questioning, because I had followed all of the rules, I had done all of the right things, and yet the blessings of a pregnancy just didn't come for a really, really long time. Yeah. So I certainly started to have questions then. I was like, I've done everything right, you know, and yet a heroin addict can get pregnant really easily. Like it didn't feel fair. So, and I do have a bit of an overdeveloped sense of fairness. So that was like number one thing was life wasn't going to my plan. So I was questioning, you know, why I'd followed such rigid rules if I wasn't going to get a payoff.
Yeah, well, ripped off, right? Like I've done everything that you said I needed to do to get this, and I'm still not getting my end of the bargain.
Exactly, which is not what faith is meant to be about. And I understand that's not the teaching, but that was certainly how I felt. It was like, so it felt like I was being punished for something, and I was always trying to find what I had done wrong so I could fix it, so I could flick the switch and get pregnant, which is completely irrational, but at the time that felt very real.
Yes.
Anyway, so then, you know, adopted my daughter, got pregnant within a couple of months after getting home, and ended up having three children biologically, which was amazing.
Yes.
But, and you know, the mindset had already shifted, because I had already learned that things just didn't happen the way that you intended them for them to happen, and that God wasn't sort of like a slot machine. So that was, I know, how rude. So that was one thing, and then there were sort of a couple of other moments. So I think it was before we adopted my eldest. My ex-husband came home from work and just announced in sort of the kitchen of our new home at that time that he believed in more traditional roles, and that, you know, that he was more of a chauvinist and that that women, I think he basically expected women to do the menial tasks. And I was like, wait a second. And I didn't say it. I think I was just so shocked and so flabbergasted that I just kind of went, oh. But it felt like he'd changed the rules of our marriage on me. And he had expectations of me as a wife that I do the menial things. And my gut feeling right from then was, wait a second, I'm not better at doing the boring stuff just because I'm a woman.
No,
like exactly. there's no fairness and no justice in that. And yet I kind of either had to comply with that or create a massive rift in our marriage right then and there that I wasn't prepared to create. Especially since, you know, we were waiting on an adoption, and that's a fairly grueling process in itself, with people interviewing you about your relationship, and you've got to look like you're on the same page, and you've got to sort of pass all these tests. And so I just didn't have the capacity to really properly question that or refuse it. And because I believe that you should get married and stay married, like I just kind of had to do whatever I could to keep that marriage going. So I was, I think, pregnant with my youngest, and my ex was building this business that was failing. And he had scheduled a massive event for about 4 weeks after my son was born. And I really didn't want him to, and he didn't listen, and he kept going ahead with it. And because he was working so hard in this sort of direction that was just not working, I just remember walking the neighbourhood. So I was, you know, pushing the baby in the pram, just going, how am I supposed to stay? Like, how am I supposed to stay? How can I continue in this relationship? Like, he's so cranky and hard to be with now. Like, he's just going to get worse as he gets older. He's going to get crankier and grumpier as he's an old man. And like, how can I continue? But it never crossed my mind to not continue.
Yes.
So there was sort of like, there were just like these key moments where it's like, what do I do? Like, just reevaluating what marriage was, and just feeling completely trapped, feeling like I had nowhere to go, and just having to persist. And then add to that, you know, he developed a friendship with somebody that wasn't just a friendship. And, you know, in terms of questioning that, you know, even asking questions of him felt dangerous and risky, because it would mean that I guess I would have to make a decision, and without infidelity, I don't know if I would have left. I feel like now, years and years later, that I don't think I could have continued. I was just like, seriously, I was a shell of my former self. It was just, I was not myself. Life was getting more and more miserable. So I imagine that I probably could not have continued, but the reality is that he did cross a line, and, you know, according to my faith at the time, that released me then to explore something new. Yeah.
Thank goodness, because I'm listening to the story. Like, I know this story anyway, but I'm listening to the story, and the Catherine I know is full of life and very strong on justice and always welcoming of everyone and fun and lighthearted, and and who you're describing, or the reality that you're living in, you couldn't have been like that, because you can't live in that environment.
Absolutely not.
Thank heavens he did cross a line that did let you, you know, like, let's talk about wild and finally fucking free. Like literally, thank you for releasing me. And
I did, like, I physically felt that release. So in those few weeks and months after the truth came out, you know, like, it was hard and it was heavy, and it was so distressing that I had been, like, that somebody had cheated on me.
Yes.
But at the same time, it was like, like now, I just got to start fresh, you know, like, I didn't have to sort of compromise on the things that I wanted to do or the things that I liked and enjoyed. I could actually start to picture a future where I could do the things that I was meant to do, the things that were important for me. Yeah. And that included sort of, you know, my writing, and that included ideas of travel and all sorts of things. Just remember just like feeling like such relief and floating kind of above, while at the same time being so tortured over the emotional distress of that experience. It was really, really weird. It's very hard to describe the sort of the split between the two emotions that I was experiencing simultaneously. It was so weird, but it was and, you know, and through all of that, I mean, still that whole good girl and the expectations of what forgiveness looked like, you know. Geez, I struggle with that. There was years of struggling through that, trying to work out what I should do, what was required of me next. And it ended up being a lot simpler than I thought, you know, like, sort of work through that too.
It's funny, isn't it, because the good girl, like we said before, by connotation it's someone else's rules, and I definitely found in my experience that often the rules are way more complicated than the truth of who I am. It's like, you know, I can actually, I don't know, I can choose to release somebody or release a habit or release a thought pattern or whatever. I used to think that there was all these things that I had to do kind of qualify me, you know, to get to the stage where I could, you know, say that was done. It's like, no, much simpler than that.
Well, I think forgiveness was the big one, because, you know, obviously in the faith that I'd grown up with, you know, you had to forgive. So this sort of pressure to forgive, it took me a long time to realize there was no timeline on that. And that forgiving didn't mean forgetting, and forgiving didn't mean taking him back. You know, there was, and the fact that you can forgive yesterday, but then today, to hell with that. You know?
Absolutely.
So like there was a lot that I had to learn, and you know, but so much pressure. I put so much pressure on myself to do that. Like, you know, feeling like that I was doing something really wrong in not forgiving, but. Who's ready to forgive in the first 12 months, 2 years, 10 years after that's happened? It's impossible. And and there were people out there who I feel like did put some pressure on me to forgive in that sense. It's like, but they hadn't lived it. They didn't know. No. They didn't know it wasn't that simple.
Don't judge.
No way.
Actually, I used to have this, actually my very first yoga teacher, he used to say, he used to always have these pearls of wisdom. One of my favorites is definitely a theme of my life is just because you can doesn't mean you should, because I'm hyper flexible.
Yes.
So, people say think being extra flexible is great, but actually it comes with a lack of stability, and you can hang off your joints, but it's also a lesson for me in other areas. It's like just because you can doesn't mean you should. But the one that's coming up for me at the moment is stress only comes from the difference between what our expectations are and what our reality is. So the pressure you're talking about came from, I'm on a timeline here. I've got to do, I've got to get to a certain point. And the reality is I'm not at that point. So therefore I'm not at that point.
No. and I view timelines so differently now. Like I think that's a huge part of what, like I've chilled in lots and lots of different areas. And timelines would be one.
The softening. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Like I just don't have that, like, I kind of wanted to replace, I think, one sort of identity with another. Like I wanted really some clear definitions to apply to myself, and it's taken me a few years, but it's just like actually it doesn't matter if I don't know what I am, in terms of sexuality, or I don't know what I am in terms of my faith. Because there's still faith there. It's just really different to how it used to be.
Yeah, of course.
But it doesn't matter that I can't define it. Like, and I used to feel so much pressure to work it out and to know, probably just so I could tell people. I don't know, like so I could say, oh, I'm this or I'm that. But now I'm just like, that's all right. It'll come clear in the end. Yeah. And I just honestly feel that it's like it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
And we can't define ourselves anyway. Like
no, things change.
Yeah, exactly. Things change, and even like I don't know, like our body, our universe, everything is designed to be in balance. And so if we try and sit in any extreme of any form of ourselves, like to me, I don't know, unless it feels really true, my experience has been I don't know, I wax and wane today.
Yes.
Today I might love boxing, tomorrow I love yoga. The next day my body just needs to not move. Like, we're always in this flux, and like, why do we have to box ourselves in? Because to me, when you box yourself in and then it doesn't fit anymore, we often keep the identity even though it doesn't feel right for us. And it's like, there's more damage in that. There's more cost to us in that than there is just going, actually, I have not defined and I probably won't. Or maybe I will. Who knows?
like you said, maybe this is true today, but tomorrow, who knows?
Exactly.
I might learn something else. And I think that's the thing. Like there's always bits and pieces that I'm learning that just add to what I know or have experienced. And I just know so much less now than I did before.
Yep. Yeah. I'm very clear on what I don't know. Or no, I'm not very clear. I'm very, very aware of how much more I don't know. I think that's becoming older.
I mean, everything's shades of grey now. It's not black and white. I'm not wearing black and white.
Yeah, you are.
Actually not black and white at all.
No. So what gift has going through this transition, questioning the boxes, questioning the good girl sort of frame? Yeah. What's the gift to you in terms of, or how does it inform? So you're a teacher professionally, you're a writer, you're a mum of 4.
Yeah.
What does this evolution of Catherine inform in all those other roles? Like, what does it actually set you free to be able to do or lead from or be or... Hey gorgeous, we interrupt this gold for a delicious invitation. If your whole body has been whispering more lately, more voice, more truth, more satisfaction, more clients of the soulmate variety, more cash, more you, then this invitation is for you. Potent, my sister mind is officially open. This is my high touch, holy fuck, I'm ready sister mind for rebels in good girl clothing who are done outsourcing their power and diluting their magic to fit into someone else's business formula. If you have been craving a space where your strategy, your voice, and your energy all get to be offered, honored, refined, and amplified, this is it. Inside of Potent, you'll get my eyes on your business every single week, copy mentoring, and that is for brand copy and content storytelling that turns your truth into client catnip, energetic recalibration that helps you unhook old learned limitation patterns, keeping you quiet, not being seen, not being heard, real-time, high-touch, one-on-one coaching that actually sees the bigness of your vision, and the kind of sisterhood that does not flinch when you show up in your full, messy, brilliant, phoenix rising from the ashes glory. This isn't surface level support. It's deep, potent, paradigm shifting work that changes who you are as a woman in business and a woman in life. We start in August. Early open access is open right now. For the month of June 2025, inside of this early access open doors period, you will receive juicy bonuses, extended payment plans, and access immediately to my entire library of storytelling gold. You'll find all the juicy details at kyliepatchett.com/potent. And we fill spaces, and there's only 10 of them, and more than likely only 5 by the time you listen to this, because by that time I will have offered them to the existing cohort, the beautiful original OG circle. We do actually take applications on a first come, first served basis. So come and apply, and let's get back to the magic of the episode.
Yeah, look, I think sort of one of the main things it's probably hard to talk about all of those things without also mentioning the fact that I was raising an adopted child who was really impacted by trauma.
Yes.
I've, got to be careful about how much I say, because obviously that's all of her story.
Absolutely, yes.
But what I can say is that I was living in a home with somebody who was very oppositional,
Yes.
very challenging. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she taught me heaps in terms of my teaching and in terms of other people. And there's a few things there. So one is that you just never know what's going on behind the scenes for anybody. So you might think that they've got their life all together and they're happily married and they've got a supportive husband and their children are amazing. And the reality is something quite different.
Yes.
So when kids come to school and they're having trouble learning, or they're being, what I once would have considered lazy, now it's not lazy. It's usually tied up much more in fear of failure, or there's just other things going on that are more important in their lives than handing in an English assignment, for example.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of one area. So it's just all the shades. It's all the shades. It's the greys. It's just recognizing that, that people have a whole personality and a life behind them, that kind of nothing's as it seems. And then, just trying to think. What was the question again?
Sorry, it was a big question, wasn't it? I was like, whoa, Kylie, hang on a minute. So because I'm hearing this evolution of kind of breaking the containers that you were in.
Yeah.
When you actually surrender to however you are in the moment, what's the gift of that?
Okay.
Yeah, in terms of other people that you interact with.
Yeah, look, I think too, so I've just mentioned, say students who I once perceived as lazy, who I'm now realising that that's often driven by fear. And it's the kids at the other end of that spectrum as well, and that goes for friends and acquaintances and all of this too. People are perfectionist and afraid to fail. And that included me. That was me. I wanted to be the really, really good girl and not make any mistakes and not fail. If anyone to not like me and to not think I was awesome. So it was really sort of breaking down those ideas around perfection and actually just having to kind of pare it back and just do something. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can build on a foundation, but you can't be perfect to start with.
No, absolutely not.
It's probably those two things. I'm working as a full-time teacher, So it does colour a lot of what I do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I grew up, I definitely, I used to say I'm a recovering control freak, type A perfectionist. Like that's really, and that came from work, growing up in a house where I often didn't feel safe. So coming back to, your comments about your dad and that walking on eggshell type of energy, I always thought that my role was to get it perfect so that I would not cause trouble for anyone else. That was kind of what I learned. And now when I see, my girls' friends or, the kids that I'm not teaching, because I'm not in a classroom, but the kids that come in and out of our lives, when I see someone like that who, their friends' filter of them is, she gets everything bloody perfect. She always looks perfect. She's always this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, I see that from a very different lens. I'm like, what are we trying not to upset, or where do you not feel that you can just be yourself and relax? Because to me, that's hypervigilance. It's like my antenna is up, I'm scanning the environment, and I'm going to do every freaking thing I can to control what I can control.
You just know that sort of behind that is someone who's so terrified.
Yeah, terrified.
Getting it wrong.
Yep, absolutely.
That's just, it's sad. It's sad to see that. And everybody has to come to their own understanding eventually. Like there's not a great deal we can do except probably by leading by example. And, it's why I probably try so hard to be an open book and failings now and that kind of thing. You sort of want people to understand that, okay, they're mistakes that I've made.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah, exactly.
The world didn't come to an end. Did you see that? Look, we're all fine. It's okay.
Oh, dear. What about with your kids? Like you said before, I don't want for them to be married by the time they're 21. What are the messages obviously you are leading by example because you've done this in your own life, but with your kids, because, like you've had one just finished school, one already finished school, two more to go. Is that right? Yes.
Yep. Just slightly further along. Yeah. I've been out of school for quite a long time now, and then one's about to finish right now. So
gotcha. Okay. So there's all those big questions they get. What do you want to do when you leave school? What do you like all those big questions. What is your guidance around that, knowing that there is no in inverted air quotes again, right way of doing things?
Well, there's sort of two fields I kind of think about. It's like in terms of work and then in relationships. So the work's really interesting because I didn't realize how much of a value it was for me to have further education. Had to really just sort of, sit on my hands and bite my tongue and just relax and let my kids work their lives out for themselves.
Yes.
So I'm just like, I've got, three kids and, one of them started uni but then left. So I'm like, three kids that haven't gone to university. I'm like, I really wanted that for them. But just having to let them work out the path for their own life. And
absolutely.
That a value for me that came through my family as well. But it doesn't mean their life is any less value if they haven't got that higher education. So I'm just like, just chill, just relax. I love you whether you've got a degree or not. That kind of and the same with with ATAR results and all of that. So it's like, well, actually, my daughter who's 17 now has got the healthiest attitude towards that of anybody I know. She's literally filled her timetable with things that she loves to do. Yeah. And she's learned all of the back doors to get to where she wants to go. If she decides she wants to go there. Like, actually, I respect that. It's like, all right. So just trying to give my children more freedom to make decisions that suit. And that's certainly not been easy, but just kind of going, all right, I have to let you trust your own instinct on whether you do, the high level maths or the low level stupid like that. But okay, all right, I'm stepping back. I want you to trust your own instincts. You make a decision about that, and I'll just try and encourage you in that.
Yes.
The relationship one's probably a touch more difficult because, just the damage I feel like I caused for myself in getting married so young. But I do have a child that is committed to her Christian faith really strongly and has decided she wants to be a virgin when she gets married. And, you know, and she's entitled to make that decision, but there's part of me that goes, oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I know, right?
I mean, I have really open conversations with them around sex, and I'm just like, you know, it is a really good way to find out if somebody's, you know, incredibly selfish.
Yeah, it is. I like the philosophy of trying before you buy.
Maybe that's not what you want to find out after you're committed and it's on paper and you're all signed up forever and ever.
Yes.
But at the same time, like I understand. I don't know. I still find that one a little bit
tricky. That is tricky.
And I've got kids who are sort of all over the place on their thoughts around faith and on their thoughts around sexuality, which is as well. Well, not sexuality, but just when they would get married and how they would go about that.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. This is such a juicy conversation because we can have this, you know, metamorphosis for ourselves.
Yes.
And I think it's, well, I feel very strongly what you're saying about, like, I've got multiple degrees, but I got them because I was trying to prove my worth. It actually, so the value that I had on it in my early years was all about trying to make myself feel better about myself.
Yeah.
And neither of my girls have actually graduated high school. I didn't, like, I thought that would never, like, I was like, I'm going to have two kids, they're going to go to uni, they're going to do bloody blah. And now, because exactly what you're saying, like, I deeply believe that every human has agency and sovereignty, and that includes me not getting to say, you know, and that's a bitter pill to swallow, right? Because you, as a parent, you want the best for them, but who the freaking hell knows the best for them except them? And, you know, we've raised our kids to trust their gut instinct, to always go with their own, you know, thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, and always question something that someone says is like, you know, you're wrong, I'm right. Or, you know, if there's only one way that religion, for instance, can work, or only one way that's right in sexual relationships, intimate relationships, whatever. And it's like, nope. No. The whole world is putting everything like that under a microscope, and your job is just to find what feels good for you.
Yeah.
And go do that.
The reality is there's nothing that you can't undo or redo.
No, exactly. That's the thing.
Yeah. So you made the wrong decision about that particular course or about that particular job or that particular experience. Like, just go back and try again.
Exactly.
It's a big deal. It's like, okay, you're okay. Yeah, exactly. And they have to learn for themselves. And you might want to rescue them from repeating your mistakes, but it's going to be different no matter what anyway. It's not their lives not be the same as mine.
Totally. Yeah, totally. But yeah, man, it takes a lot of a lot of deep breathing. I'm like, no, I meant everyone else when I said they don't know what's best for you. Not me, not your father. But
it applies to parenting as well. I don't have confidence in anything. I mean, I literally had a conversation with my son the other day, and I'm just like, look, I'm having this conversation. These are things I'm thinking, but I don't really know what the end result is to be. I don't really know what my role as parent should be in regards to the issue that we were talking about. Just like, what do you think?
Yeah.
How should I parent you? What decision should I make here? Yeah, and I mean, I would rather have conversations with my kids, and I would rather have that flexibility than the sort of high authority handing down decrees.
And be honest. Like I'm always saying to my girls, I've never parented an 18 and a 17-year-old daughter before. Like, this is my first time. This is my first rodeo. And I know some of the things that I don't want to recreate. And I also know that, you know, my highest values are connection and honesty and, you know, integrity. So I would much rather you be honest and tell me something I don't want to hear rather than lie to me and pretend that you're someone that you're not, because that is not what I want for them. Like, that's what we're all unraveling, right? Like, at our age.
Yeah, look, and I can see, like, I mean, with my youngest son, so he's been with me full time now for over a year, and so much of his decision for being with me all the time was because he felt like he had to live up to expectations, and there were decrees that he was having to obey, and he just needed to develop his own identity. And yes, he's made some mistakes. That's kind of par for the course, but I don't want to be that person who's like trying to control what they do to reach a predetermined outcome that kind of has nothing to do with me in the end anyway.
Exactly. And that, it goes against exactly what we were talking about, which is, why do I have to define who I am? Because, he's learning who he is. So if I don't want to put myself in a box, why am I expecting him to be put in a box at his age, with my expectations wrapped around him? Same thing.
Yeah.
What are you called to? So you're a writer, so you've got this deep wanting to create and write. What are the things that you're being called to write about at the moment? I'm really fascinated to see. Do you want to go there?
I'll go there. It's really interesting that you say that, because it's probably the area where the reason I haven't written much in the last couple of years is I don't know what to write. I definitely want to write something sometime. I'd love to be published. That'd be awesome. But my stronger calling is my teaching. Yes. Which is really interesting, because there have been times in my life where I've tried to get away from that. The personal connection, I'm obviously an extrovert, and the personal connection that I have with people through my teaching, whether I'm teaching in high school or whether I'm teaching in some other capacity, whether that was, I think the attempt at coaching was probably along those lines as well, is that it is my connection with people that's more important. Yes. So as much as I love to write and I love the written word, but I think it'll always be in tandem with community and with people somehow. I'm still just waiting for inspiration to strike. Yeah. And I wish it would. I would love to go, okay, now this is the thing I'm meant to write, and this is the thing I'm meant to say. But so much of what I think is important and valuable to say, lots of other people have said already. It's like, I don't know. We'll see how that one plays out. But exactly. I know it's something I can do. I know it's part of my gifting. Yes, it is just a matter of learning and working out how that might come together sometime in the future.
I love my reflection back to you in terms of like the calling stronger towards teaching. I love seeing you on social media go through a school year, because you're always sharing, like, when we're recording this, it's the end of the school year for grade 12s, which is our final year of schooling in Australia. So I love how you shine your light on your students and you want the best for them. And like you were, one of the things that, you put up was like, I feel like we're preparing well for exams. I hope that, sort of like translates, but it's not just that stuff. It's all the, the end of year gifts. You can feel in your sharing how pivotal having the connection to you. Oh, getting emotional. The connection to you is in terms of their school journey, because I hear you speak, and I know that when you see a young person, you're not looking at whether they're good or bad, perfectionist. Or, it's not about grading the young person. It's a human to human connection, and that
it really is
to me is such a powerful thing, because there's teachers that are teachers, and then there's teachers that are way showers. You actually remind me of, I had a biology teacher. This is actually why I did a biology degree. I had a biology teacher at my Italian Catholic girls' school that I went to, and her name was Mrs. Catherall, and she used to drive a little red MG, and she'd wear a headscarf, and she just was so freaking passionate about the subject, like about biology and the fascination of how we work and how animals work and everything. But she also was fascinated by every single one of us, and you would bask in her connection and care. I just loved her classroom. And I know that from when you write things on social media and I read them, I'm just like, that's like Mrs. Catherall.
Yeah, I really hope so. And I actually introduced in the last 2 years, because obviously, you get a new group of kids through at the beginning of every year. Yes. And in the way I introduce myself to the classes now, I'm like, I teach English and I love English, but I know that you might not, and that's actually okay by me. Like, at the end of the day, I would prefer that you leave here a better person than a better English student. So, you know, I mean, I make that pretty clear right up front. I mean, you get frustrated when you can see kids with so much potential and they're just kind of sort of flopping around for whatever reason. But I mean, I would rather be known for being kind. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
That's, you know, at the end of the day, like that's, yeah. It's like there was a girl in my year 9 class last year who's actually followed through, and she's been in my year 10 classes this year too. And I was just like, she was in trouble all the time. You know, she didn't come to class with no equipment, and she's not much better now, to be honest. But but she'd say, "Oh, you're my favourite teacher." I'm like, "Why?" Because I felt like I was always cranky at her. Because because you're kind. I'm like, "Oh," but yeah, you know, she's had lots going on, and I know about it, and that's yeah. I like their stories, you know. Maybe that's what it comes down to. I like people, and I like their stories.
Yeah, you like the connection, you like the stories.
Yeah, I do.
And understanding the individual, that shines through everything.
Yeah.
Do, so.
Oh, look, yeah. And they're, I mean, and the quirky ones that are a bit left of centre, and they're my favourites. Like, give me the creatives.
Yeah,
like
yeah. I totally. Yeah. When you said the quirky ones, I'm like you.
Oh well, yeah. That's exactly right. Yeah, they're my group, and I mean, I've learned from them as well. You know, like there was a creative writing group I started a few years ago, and it didn't last long, but what it was a really interesting group of kids, and it turned out like they were all LGBTQIA+.
Yes,
and I didn't start it for them for that reason.
Yeah,
but they would like run surveys in the session, and they go, "Oh, so how many people in here are gay today?"
I love it.
Oh, I know. And I'd be like, well, you know, I'd be one of the 2 straight ones. And then, you know, I actually obviously met somebody who was trans, and I had a relationship with them. And, you know, I mean, I feel like I learned from the kids as much as they learned from me as well. Like, I think I became more open-minded all along the way because of the people who I'm around, and that includes the students too. So I think that's kind of cool.
I love that. I love the fact that our generation of kids are way more.
Oh, yeah.
Way more just, you are who you are. And I don't really care what colour of the rainbow, what letter, whatever. Yeah, exactly. Like it doesn't actually matter to me. You can, I just love the fact that there's less and less rightness and wrongness in that generation of kids. I know that there's still, you know, there's still all sorts of shit in the world that is not how it needs to be, but the inclusion of our kids,
it's a massive difference. Like just even the space of maybe 3 or 4 years, like the acceptance of people who are on that rainbow spectrum somewhere is just so like dramatically different to how it was. It's pretty amazing actually, and those kids are so brave too. They know it's such a huge thing to go home to your family and say, "Oh, I'm this," or
absolutely.
I'm not what you thought. Yeah, no, it's incredible.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't have had the courage when I was that young, like because I was still very much in the don't make waves, do not stress anyone, do not trigger anyone, do not ask for anything, do not expect support, just be good. And that meant fit into that tiny little narrow box of goodness. Yes, amazing. One of my girls, Abby's going to a formal tonight, and I love the fact that at formals any couple is now with the majority of schools. Unfortunately, some are there are a few horrible minority, but majority, you come with whoever you want, or don't come with anyone. Who cares? Whatever. And I just love that. I love the fact that it's not traditional heterosexual garden variety.
Oh, look, and there's boys that show up in skirts and dresses, and
exactly.
It's fun, and it's, you know, it's just more scope. I like it. Well, that's cool. Yes,
it has been an absolute pleasure hearing more about your story. I'd love to ask you, in terms of people listening, let's go back to what you said about you look back at yourself on the cusp of the big change, like when you had decided, yes, my marriage is not going to be something I continue. And you said, I actually feel sorry for myself because I was so afraid. If there's someone listening who is sitting right in that fear stage of just, no, this is not right for me, but I cannot make that big change. What would be your parting wisdom?
Yeah. Look, let's go back to that thing that I said about schooling, actually, schooling and children. It's like everything can be undone or redone.
Yep.
You can make a mistake. It's not going to be the end of the world. I think the question that you taught me to ask, and the women that we were working with at the time, like you said, like, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
And like at the time, the worst that could happen, it felt like death. Like I literally thought that I would spiral out of control and it would be into this deep, dark abyss that was some version of hell, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I literally thought that the world would end, my world would end, I would end if I put a foot wrong. And like you said, well, what's the worst that can happen? And it just forced me to be a little bit more rational about it. Kind of go, well, what is the worst that could happen? There was no worst. Like there literally wasn't. Like there was no consequence. I mean, you know, if you apply it to a relationship situation, somebody might get hurt. You know, you might have a relationship that you make a mistake with and you can never go back. But well, it's all learning, isn't it?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
yeah, there's nothing that's going to kill you in that space anyway.
No.
Yeah.
I would add to that like I've made myself wrong for a long, long time. Sorry, I'm going to rephrase that. I used to make myself wrong for not sticking at things or not, you know, like, you know, blowing up my life, restarting again, like I have done over and over and over again, right? I love change. I'm like, ooh. Turns out I had undiagnosed ADHD for quite a lot of that time. So the novelty factor was definitely playing out there. But I also I've been delving into a bit of human design lately, and I'm novice stage. But apparently my kind of best way of being in the world, or my design, is literally I have to try something to actually know whether it's right for me. So that all the thinking and the logic and the everything that I used to run my life by, I can't figure out whether it's the right thing for me or not until I'm actually doing it, actually experiencing it. And that has been such a freedom, because I'm like, wow, okay, so the chopping and changing is actually just me like sampling the smorgasbord of the world and figuring out what tastes good. But I had a filter of like, you know, good girls stay in good jobs and climb the good corporate ladder until they're dying on the inside and hate themselves. Like that's what I thought I needed to do. And I'm like, oh my God, I wouldn't have had any of the experiences that, and look at, you know, thank goodness you took the chance to trust that there was, because you've experienced so many other things that, you know, the travel, the adventure, the reinvention, the, you know, the fun, the lightheartedness, the everything that is you. That's who I think, you know, when I think about you, like cool, funky haircuts, traveling to Bali, adventures with your kids, doing all sorts of stuff. And I just think you would never have been able to do that. So how magical.
No, absolutely. Not sorry.
No, not sorry.
Not sorry.
Definitely not sorry.
No way. No, not sorry.
So good. So good. All right. So if you're listening and you're in fear, what's the worst that could happen? And just know, just know that no matter what, when you're on the edge of an expansion, fear will come a knocking. That's what it's designed to do. It's trying to keep you safe, but honestly, fear is only a little tiny part of you. And there's desire and magic.
Yes. And you'll feel like it might kill you or it might kill somebody else, but it won't. It won't. And then you're like, oh, all right, what else can I try?
Yeah,
what other
exactly. Exactly. What else can I taste? What else can I be like, ooh, I like that strawberry flavored yummy thing, but I do not like the, I don't know, asparagus. I've eaten so much asparagus at the moment that I'm like, yeah. Anyway, I like it and then I don't like it. Anyway.
Life's too short to eat too many green vegetables.
I know, right? Oh, my goodness. Thank you for your divine wisdom and just showing other people the way that even when you've grown up in really strong And it's not just because it's a faith, but a really strong set of expectations that there is freedom on the other side. And yes, it's been absolutely lovely to reconnect. Hello there, beautiful. Thank you so much for tuning in. I have something very exciting to announce with spine tingling anticipation and bone deep certainty that this circle was meant to be. I have officially just thrown open the doors to a beautiful membership style community full of connection, empowerment, healing, and support for midlife magic makers like yourself. She's called the Coming Home Collective. We've got the doors open for a week between the 15th and the 22nd. In a nutshell, this is a very low cost membership style community where you're actually given three things: an environment which supports your expansion, where your own healing is enabled, supported, and encouraged, and that you've got access to all of the resources that I use with my one-on-one clients, and you're taught how to put them into practice in your day-to-day life. She's also a circle of support, so where you can be held in safety and love, truly seen, truly heard, bringing out all of the shitty old stories into the light so we can dissolve the fear and allow you to shed the skins of your childhood conditioning. And the collective is such a powerful, potent space to create. You can hear from every single one of these stories. At some point, each one of these women realize that she has the power to choose. Please don't wait until life throws you a big F-off curveball to actually make changes. You have the power to do it now. So if you're sick of waiting for permission, love, and approval from others, and you're ready to gift it to yourself, or you're tired of playing it small and stuck and you want to play it powerful, and especially if you're ready to surrender the stories that keep you stuck so that you can set yourself free, right now is the best time to join us, because for the next 7 days, the early bird November doors are open, and that will score you a 33% discount on your monthly investment, which means your monthly investment is lower than a gym membership. Think about this as a gym membership that actually supports your heart, your soul, your mind, your evolution, and literally teaches you the way that you can tame fear and rewrite your life. The Coming Home Collective is a 9-month membership. The doors are open right now. If you get in before we close this very, very quick sneak peek 2022 enrollment period, you will get access to a coaching call with me, some dollars to spend on other products, and 2 very cool meditation and yoga nidra tracks. So check it all out. All the details are at kyliepatchett.com.au. The Coming Home Collective. I'm so looking forward to being able to hold space for all of you beautiful people out there, ready to take a leap of faith and trust yourself and heal and create, given the right environment, support, and encouragement. You are your best healer. Let's freaking well do it.